Okay, here's warm-up number 56. So on this first problem, we've got a trapezoid, and a very common incorrect answer that I get is people would say, oh, A is going to be 113. Those are both obtuse angles, and B is going to be 36. Those are both acute angles. That will be true if I've got a regular trapezoid where these two legs are congruent. That's not the case here, okay? So it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that. So what I want to do is kind of think of the parallel lines as tracks, like going back, way back to chapter 3, I think, and think of this as a transversal, okay? Now, when I'm looking at trying to find A, my tracks are parallel, so these would be consecutive interior angles. They're not congruent because you can see this one's acute, that one's obtuse, but they are going to be supplementary. So I can say the measure of angle A plus 36 is going to equal 180. Okay, and now I can solve for angle A. So I'm going to get 144 degrees then for the measure of angle A. Not 113, right? And then I'll do the same thing on the other side of this. So I'll think of this as my tracks here. And I got a new transversal. These again are going to be consecutive interior angles, and they're going to be supplementary. So measure of angle B plus 113 degrees is going to be 180 degrees. And again, subtract to solve for the angle. And I'll get 67 degrees. Okay. All right. Next up. So on this, for this, this is trapezoid again, and this time this is I've got a mid-segment. This is a mid-segment because it connects the midpoints of the two legs of the trapezoid. Okay. And when that happens, the mid-segment is going to be parallel to the other lines. That's interesting, but it's not necessary for this problem. But also, it's going to be the average of those two. Okay, and when we had the mid-segment of a triangle, I took this and doubled it to get the base. But there's two bases here, so it's going to be the average of the two bases. Okay, my mid-segment is average of the two bases. The mid-segment is 10. The two bases are 8 and 3x. If I wanted to average 8 and 3x, I'd add them together and divide by 2. Okay, so here's my equation, and I'm going to start solving. So first thing I want to do is get rid of the fractions, so I'm going to double the whole equation, because then that happens. And so 20 is going to equal 8 plus 3x. I'm trying to isolate x, so let's subtract 8 and divide by 3. Okay, solving for x. Yep, that's what we're doing. Okay. All right, next up we've got a kite. There are a number of different ways you can solve a problem like this, but what I like to do with a kite problem like this is where the tail of the kite would go, right? That's kind of the bottom of the kite. So what I like to do is slice my kite in two from the head to the tail, where the ribbon goes in. So I'm going to slice it like that, because when you cut it this way, those corner angles are going to be bisected. So the whole thing's 30, but these two are going to be congruent to each other, so that means I've got 15 degrees and 15 degrees. Same thing with the 130. This is also going to get cut in half, so that means I'm going to have 65 degrees and 65 degrees. Okay? And also, the remaining angles here are going to be congruent because they're the same triangles, right? I'm going to use triangles now is what I'm going to do. So I'm looking for the measure of angle D. They don't ask me for B, but if they did, it would be the same as D. But if I look at just this triangle now, I can say measure of angle D plus 65 degrees plus 15 degrees is going to equal 180, right? All three angles add up to 180 degrees again. Triangle angle sum theorem. Okay, and then I just subtract 80, and it's going to be 100. Okay, Last but not least, I've got ABCD is a parallelogram, okay? Find the coordinates of D. So there's two different places where I could put a fourth point to make a parallelogram. I'm going to do this incorrectly first. I'm going to do it really lightly in pencil, okay? So like if I started making segments like this, well, the third point, the last point would be somewhere down here to form a parallelogram, okay? And the way I do that, I'd make sure, okay, I can see the slope of this is 1, like I'm going down 1 to the left 1, down 1 to the left 1, right? So from point C, I can do the same thing, down 1 to the left 1, down 1 to the left 1. Okay, so some people are going to put point D here and then make their parallelogram, and that is a parallelogram. But this is incorrect, and here's why. If you look at the name of this parallelogram, I should be able to start at A and take a walk around the outside and hit the letters in that order. So I'm going A, B, but then D is next, and then C. So this is incorrect. Okay? So I need to go A, B, and actually, there's another place you could put it up here, which you'd have the same problem if you put it like, let's see. If you put it up here, you'd have the same problem, because then you'd have to after A, you'd have to either go to C or D, and that doesn't work either, okay? So what I want to do is go A, B, C, and then D. I want to do D somewhere up here, okay? So that's going to be the correct way. So since I know AB is one of the segments, so that one is one of the sides. I know BC is another one. So that might be a good way to do that. You just use the first two letters and then use the second and third letters, and then you know those are two of the sides of your parallelogram. And that'll help you to see that those two couldn't be right. Okay? So D's got to be somewhere up here, because next I need CD, and then DA would be my last one. Okay? So now, going to use the properties of parallelograms. The opposite sides are going to be parallel and congruent. So I'm thinking going from B to C, I'm going down 1 to the right 3, down 1 to the right 3. So I'm going to do that same thing from A. If I go down 1 to the right 3, now these opposite sides are parallel, right? Or I could do the same thing going from B to A. I go up 2 to the right 2. So I could go here, go up 2 to the right 2, puts me in the same place. Here's point D. Now my opposite sides are congruent and parallel, and that's the point 3, 1. And that's my solution. Okay. All right. That's all I have, and I'll see you next time.